Engine detailing. There's two ways to detail an engine and engine compartment. There's the full engine detail, where you're using running water, say from a garden hose or a pressure washer, and cosmetic engine detailing, which you primarily use for new cars, where when you open up the hood, mostly what you see is plastic, like you're gonna see on this SSRT. Cosmetic detailing is fast and easy, and because you're not introducing a lot of water to the engine compartment, it's also really safe, and you can do it in about 15 minutes. The first thing you want to do is blow out all the debris in the engine compartment. A lot of times you park under a tree, you get a lot of leaves, pine needles caught up in the side of the engine compartment. This is the Metrovac Sidekick. It's real handy for just this type of operation. The next thing you want to do is you want to clean all the road grime off the inside of the engine compartment. Now this is just a light film, it's a light oily film, it's going to clean up fairly easily. For that I'm going to use the BLACKFIRE Diamond Waterless Wash. I'm just going to take and spray everything down. And here's a tip, if you're working on a really dirty engine, take and divide the engine compartment into quarters and then just tackle 1 quarter at a time. Now this engine compartment's not too bad, so I'm going to go ahead and mist this over the entire thing. I'm going to come back with a brush and I'm going to take and agitate this and then wipe up the mess. Now the brush I'm going to use is actually a wheel face brush made by the Wheel Woolies company. It's a boar's hair brush, and the reason I like this brush is because the fibers aren't too stiff, but they're not too soft. They're just perfect, so it's going to get in there and agitate the cleaner, make it easy for me to wipe it up. One of the things that's nice about keeping your engine clean is it makes it easier to identify any kind of problems that might arise, say like an oil leak. If you've got a clean engine and all of a sudden you got an oil leak, you'll be able to identify where it's located right away. Another thing is it helps the engine run cooler because that oily film locks in heat. It also gives your car more respect anytime you take it into the dealership, because the guys that work on your car, they're going to give your car a lot more respect if they see you respect it and you keep it clean versus if it's all dirty looking. Okay, just get in here and agitate that. Make sure you get all the plastic parts too, like up here around the windshield wiper arms. And of course, since this has the Hemi engine in it, we definitely want to scrub the words Hemi, so if the owner wants to pop the hood and show it off, it looks all nice and pretty. Okay, after I agitate that, I'm going to take a couple microfiber towels, come in here and just wipe that mess all up. Another thing this helps is with the resale value and the trade-in value. So if you ever go to sell your car, someone pops the hood, or trade it in, someone pops the hood, when the engine compartment's all clean, it looks like you've been doing regular maintenance. And that's a positive image in their mind, and that'll help you sell the car and get the price you're asking for it. If you go to trade it in at the dealership, they're going to give you a higher value for it. So just a little bit of quick cleaning on the engine compartment makes a dramatic difference. Especially with this SRT, since this is it's got some of that bright yellow paint underneath the hood. Just by cleaning it real quickly, we're going to create a lot of contrast. So the yellow will become very bright next to all the components that are black, and that just creates a real dramatic visual difference from where we started. There we go. Okay, less than 10 minutes, I got 90% of the grime out of there. So now I've got the surface clean, But the next thing we want to do is we're going to come in here, we want to dress that plastic and restore a deep, dark sheen to it. Not a shine, but a sheen. For that, this is a really cool product. This is the BLACKFIRE all-in-one trim and tire protectant. And it works great for cosmetic engine detailing. And this is one of the products that I show in my detailing class because we cover both styles of detailing in the class. Full engine detailing and cosmetic engine detailing. So now just going to come in here, spread this or spray this all over the place. Oh, it smells good too. It's always nice when your products smell good. Makes it a little more fun to do the job. Okay, now this is a 1-inch round boar's hair brush. What I'm going to do with this is I just want to come in here and agitate the dressing into all the nooks and crannies. Let it get in there, kind of soak in, penetrate, do its job. And then I'll come back with a set of clean microfiber towels and wipe that off. And like I said before, and as you can see, this is actually a fairly quick process. It's not like an all-day job. The boar's hair brush works perfect for this hair intake where you can get into the grooves there, push that dressing in there. It's going to make it look brand new. Same thing with the belts and the hoses here. Come over and get this side real quick. If you get it on any of the paint, it won't hurt it. In fact, it'll make it a little shinier. There we go. Come over here and get the Hemi valve cover, oil filler cap, breather tube. Then up here on the plastic fascia. Okay, got that all spread around. Couple fresh, clean microfiber towels. Then just come in here and wipe up the excess. Anybody can do cosmetic engine detailing. It's quick, simple, fast. There's very little of zero risk to causing any harm. And it'll make your engine compartment look like the day you bought the car. There we go. When you're doing cosmetic engine detail also, you can do this at any point of the car detail. Now, full engine detail, I teach doing that before you do any of the other steps like washing the car, because you might get splatter on the outside of the car and you don't want to wash the car twice. So you want to do that before you wash the car. But for the cosmetic, since you're not spraying water all over the place, you can do it at any time during the detail job. Kind of personal preference for that one. Okay, get right down there in that tight area. Come back around the shock tower and get that. Okay, got that all wiped up. And then for any of those tight areas where you couldn't really get in there and wipe too much, you can come back with the sidekick and just blast it till it's dry. That's it. That is how you do cosmetic engine detailing. In less than 15 minutes, we went for a dirty, grimy engine to one that looks like it just came out of the factory. So cosmetic engine detailing, just to recap, you want to take and blow out all the loose debris, clean all the engine oil film out, apply your dressing, brush it in, wipe off the excess, blow any of the areas where you couldn't get into to wipe out, and you're done. Ready to close the hood. This car's ready to put back on the road. Traditional engine detailing. Now, modern engines are actually designed and engineered to get wet. The secret to doing this starts with actually your sprayer. You don't want to use a high pressure sprayer because that could actually force water into the places you don't want to get water, like sensors, electrical connections, things like that. So the secret to doing traditional engine detailing is start with the sprayer that has a shower feature like I have here. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to take and you want to blow out all the leaves and the sticks. A lot of times if you're parked underneath the tray or something, you'll get a lot of stuff piled up underneath here. And because we're going to be using an engine degreaser and blowing stuff out, it's a good idea to wear safety glasses to protect your eyes. So the first thing I want to do is I want to blow this out. To do that, I'm using McKee's 37 Turbo Car Dryer, which also works great for drying your car. I'm also going to use this later to help dry the engine. Okay, now as you can see, I've also taken the precaution of taping off the sides of the fender using some drop cloth, just like this, and some tape. And the reason I do this is because when you're using engine degreaser and it starts to mix with a lot of the grime in the engine compartment, if that gets on the fender and it stays there too long, it could stain it, and then you have to come and polish it out. So you can either keep it wet with soapy water or tape it off like I've done here, and that's just, like I said, an extra precautionary step. Now the first thing you want to do after you blow it out is you want to look in here, and you're looking for any kind of electrical sensor or component that you might want to cover up and protect, just to make sure no water or degreaser gets in there. When I look at this engine compartment, it's actually pretty safe. I see a aftermarket alarm horn over here. I think I'll cover it up. And besides that, it looks pretty safe. And here's the air intake. I'm going to shove a microfiber towel in here, and that's just to collect any water that might end up getting sprayed down there so it doesn't get into the air intake system. So first, let's go ahead, take a microfiber towel and shove it down in there. If you have an exposed air filter, like a lot of performance cars, then you want to tape and cover those up. Okay, nothing's getting inside of there. And then here's a little trick I like to use. You can also use a plastic bag, but I like to take saran wrap, just pull out a sheet here, like that, and some tin foil. And what the tin foil does is, because you can form it around an object and then compress it and it'll hold its shape, you can take and cover things up really quickly, just like that. So that's the waterproofing aspect, the saran wrap. And again, you could also use a plastic bag. Now if I start spraying and scrubbing in here, that's just going to pull that bag off. So now I take the tin foil and I just form that around the alarm horn there. And now it secures the plastic in place. And you can do that with just about any component in the engine compartment. But you always want to start with the plastic first, so you're not using the tinfoil to make any electrical connection that might cause a problem. And if you want to really protect that and keep it from coming off during the scrubbing or the rinsing, you can take some painter's tape and then wrap a little bit of tape around there, and it ain't going anywhere. And you'd be surprised if you're working on a really grimy engine at just how much scrubbing you do inside here once things get wet, that you can loosen up your things you've covered up and remove the covering. So it is a good idea to secure anything, just so you don't got to stop and recover it or risk getting water or cleaner in anything like this. Okay, so that's about all I really see with this engine. So the next thing I want to do is I want to take my degreaser and I want to spray this into the engine compartment. Now, some guys like to start up high on the inside of the hood, but I like to do the engine first because that way it's not sitting there dripping on me. So I'm going to do the engine first, then I'll come back and get the underneath of the hood, and then because it will drip down on here, I'll re-rinse the engine. And for particularly really grimy engines, you can use a technique I call dividing into quarters. And that's where I'm going to take and divide this into 4 sections and then just concentrate into one section. And that way you'll be sure to do a better job. If you try to do the whole thing at once, you might be cleaning here, then cleaning over there. It's kind of a mismatched cleaning process. So I'm going to just start back up here in this corner, start laying down my degreaser, and then I'll scrub this area, and then I'll rinse it, and then I'll move around to a new quarter. Now to do this, I'm using the McKee's 37 engine degreaser, and this works really good for removing a lot of the grime. Now, when you're cleaning an engine compartment like this, you want to have a variety of brushes around so you can get into the tight areas. This is actually a wheel or tire brush, and this is a wheel brush too, but this is the Speedmaster, and you can take and flex this, and this is going to come in handy for getting into tight areas. Let's go ahead and start with the large brush right now. And then basically all you really want to do is just get in here and agitate that cleaner. And here in sunny Stuart, Florida, it's pretty warm outside right now. So this is going to try to dry on me. And that's okay. I'll just take and add some more to re-wet it as I'm working around the different areas here. Okay, now this is where this is going to come in handy, so I can get down into these tight areas here. Okay, I've got basically this 1/4 done, so I'm going to go ahead and rinse, and I'll move to a new section. And this is what I mean by the shower setting. Gives out a big fan spray of water without high pressure, so you're not going to be shoving water or forcing water into areas you don't want to get it. That already looks better. Okay, back to scrubbing and cleaning. Okay, I've got the engine done. Now I'm going to get the top of this hood because it's all greasy and grimy too. Okay, we're almost done. Since this has got a painted underneath of the hood instead of a matte style to reduce heat and sound, one of the things I also like to do is just go ahead and take a wash mitt with some soapy water, which I have mixed up down here. And just like a body panel, go ahead and just give this a final wash. And that'll remove any of the engine degreaser and the grime that you didn't get off when you rinsed it, and really leave the paint nice and clean and shiny. And of course, it's nice to have an engine compartment that's all clean because, one, it maintains the resale value. If you go to sell this or trade your car in, someone pops the hood, you know, just by having it clean, it appears as though it's well maintained. It's also a great way to be able to identify and locate any issues like an oil leak. If the entire engine compartment's clean and you spring an oil leak somewhere, a gasket goes, it'll be real easy to identify and locate where that's at, either for you or for the mechanic. And something else I've always noticed all my life, when you take care of your car, keep the engine compartment clean, you take it in for service, the mechanics who work on it, they give you more respect. Since you take care of it, they're gonna take care of it. Versus if they're working on a car that's just greasy and grimy because no one ever took care of it and kept the motor clean. Okay, so there's my final wipe. Using a wash mitt. All this clean. We'll do a final rinse here. And one of the things I teach in my classes as far as the order is we do traditional engine cleaning before we wash the car. And as you can see, it's because I'm going to get splatter. Even though I've covered the fenders, I've got it on the windshield, I've got it on the roof. And I'll be able to address that when I actually wash the car. And here's a tip. Before you do the engine, run the motor for about 10 minutes with the hood closed to warm it up. And this will soften up all the grime and the grease make it a lot easier to clean with the degreaser. Okay, there we go. Now at this stage of the game, you can either close the hood and turn the engine on and let it dry just normally through heat, or you can come back to your turbo car dryer and blow it dry. There you go. That's blowing about 90% of the water out of that engine compartment. And one of the things I did was any electrical connections, I focused on blasting those with air to blow any water out that might be in and around the connection itself. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pull the tape and the drop cloth off, and then I can go in here and I can put my dressing on. When I'm done, it's going to look like brand new. And after you're done, you want to take and start the engine up. Of course, detape everything, pull the microfiber towel out of the air cleaner, and that way the engine, when it's running, it's going to take and burn off any residues, any water anywhere. So when you go to drive it, you won't smell those fumes, and if you detail cars for money, your customer won't smell any of those fumes. And that's just something normal when you do a traditional engine detail. At this point, now I'm ready to apply the dressing. And to do this, I'm done with the glasses, I'm going to use the BLACKFIRE all-in-one trim and tire protectant. This works great on all the plastic surfaces inside the engine compartment. It also helps make the paint shiny too. Now, the way I like to apply this is a Will Woolies boar hair brush, and the bristles aren't too firm and they're not too soft, so it works really good for working the dressing into the plastic components, like you see here. Okay, there we go. Dressing's been applied. I'm going to come back with a couple microfiber towels, wipe off any excess, and then this engine's going to look like brand new again. Okay, there we go. I think I got all the excess out of there. That's looking all clean and shiny. Okay, I've removed the microfiber towel out of the air intake, removed any plastic tape and covering. Now we're ready to shut the engine, turn this thing on, and bake any of the residues off. Now I'm going to fire it up and just let it run for about 10 minutes. This is kind of the moment of truth to make sure you did everything right. And if you did, she should just fire right up and purr like a kitten. Just like that. Okay, we'll let that sit there and run for about 10 minutes and we'll take a look at that engine compartment. Okay, there we go. Let me pop that hood. So engine detailing isn't hard. There's no mystery to it. Just use common sense. And if you do everything right, your engine compartment's gonna look like it's brand new. That's traditional engine detailing.